DynamX. Hope you're having a good day today. Just finished up my workout. Did a little bit of chest today, heading over to my house to get ready for work, and I wanted to give you a really quick live stream just to give you some insight on some of the foundational things that I think you need for wealth creation. These are steps that you need to take. Think of building a house. Okay, think of building a house. If you were building a house, would you really start with the roof? Let me ask you that again. If you were building a house, would you really start with the roof? No, you wouldn't. You'd start with the foundation. Okay, you've got the footer, you've got the foundation, all of these things that have to be put in place before you start actually putting up the house itself, okay? And so when I say, would you really build the roof, what I mean by that is investing. Okay, investing is the very last step of your financial plan, and I feel like a lot of people, they start there. They're broke, but they're trying to invest. They're in debt, but they're putting money into their 401ks. And really, you have no business doing that until you've covered some of the foundations that need to go into place first. And I'm gonna hit those. So what are some of the foundations that you need to consider? Okay, the first one is actually having a blueprint. Like actually having a blueprint. If you were building a house, you wouldn't just be like, hey, I'm gonna wing this thing. Okay, I grew up in Big Lake, Alaska. And if you've ever been to Big Lake, you can maybe appreciate this. The house I grew up in, whoever built it definitely did wing it. They definitely did wing it. And I remember in that house, my mom and dad were fixing it up one year, and they were working on the roof, ironically, and the entire roof was filled with spray foam insulation. So when they put up the roof, they used tin roofing, and then they filled it in with spray foam insulation. For those of you that don't know, that's a terrible idea. It's like a sponge. So what did it do? It sucked up water, it got black mold, like the entire roof had to come off the house and be repaired. All because whoever built that house started with the roof first and then neglected the stuff that actually mattered. And so basically with your financial blueprint, you need to have that down first. It needs to be actual, like written, planned out. It needs to be thorough. It needs to be complete. And that's really the very first foundational step. So if you're investing and you don't have a blueprint, you're going to get the equivalent of financial black mold in your roof when you actually go to use those investments. It's not a good idea. So get the plan down first, figure out the purpose of your investing, figure out the goal that you're trying to achieve, and then you'll actually have some clarity on what to do and how to do it. The second thing you need to have a sacred account set up. And I know you guys are like, oh, Jerry always talks about the sacred account. You're right, I do, because I think it's something that matters. It's one of the very first steps out there. Okay, you need to have a sacred account set up for two reasons. Number one, you need to get on a forced savings plan. Okay, right now is not the time to pay off debt. Right now is not the time to put money in your 401k. It's time to get liquid cash set aside, and that money is gonna be there in case you need it, but more importantly, it's gonna be there for opportunities in investing. And if you don't start now, it's probably not going to happen. And there's not going to be a magical day where you're like, oh, it's time to start now. Like if you don't begin it now, it's no different than going to the gym. I don't care if you haven't been to the gym in a year, start now. Do a little workout, do something. That's better than doing nothing at all. So start a sacred account. A couple things a sacred account is going to do for you. It's going to give you a disciplined forced savings plan. Okay, that's going to give you some structure, and it's also going to give you a little bit of security. It also does include life insurance. I mean, if you passed away, you do need life insurance. That's there. Not really my favorite thing to talk about because I don't want to guilt trip people into doing stuff, but that is something you need to have. So your sacred account is one of the foundational steps you need to have in place. You also need an estate plan. Okay, if you don't have a will, a living will, and a healthcare directive, that is financially irresponsible. If you died and you didn't have a will, guess what? Your family is gonna have to handle your entire mess. And I know you're like, oh, I don't have anything. It doesn't matter, you do have stuff. And if you took inventory of all of your stuff and you died, ask yourself, do I really want my wife, my kids, my parents, my siblings to have to take time off from their jobs to handle my mess because I was too lazy and too cheap to write on a piece of paper where I wanted this stuff to go to. The state will take it, they will distribute it, and they're gonna put someone in your family in charge of making sure that happens. Okay, when my mom passed away, that was something my sister had to do. I watched her take weeks off of work, lost wages, she had kids, she had a family. You have the same thing going on. So have an estate plan. Okay, make sure that that's in writing, make sure it's official. And then the last thing that you need to have in place for your financial blueprint is you need to have goals. Like, and I know this is part of the blueprint for the foundation, but you need to write the goals down daily. All right, you need to know, why am I going to start saving money? Why am I going to start handling my debt? Why am I going to start making progress on my investments? You need to write the goals down every single day. And it goes back to the blueprint thing. If you were building a house and you did have a blueprint, that's only half of what you need. The other half, you need to actually go back and review the blueprint. Like, could you imagine, like, I know this is all hypothetical and stuff, but could you imagine hiring a contractor, they showed you the blueprint, and then you came back a week later and you're like, so how's the blueprint going? And they're like, oh, I don't know, we haven't looked at it since we showed it to you. Do you realize that's how you operate with your financial plan? If you've ever gotten a financial plan, that's how it goes. You sit down once, you look at the sheet of paper that says financial plan, and it has all the numbers and charts, and the guy shows it to you, and then you never look at it again. You just continue building your financial house, and you never go back to check and see, are we actually following the blueprint? And then when you find out you weren't, you treat it like you had a cupcake on your diet when you shouldn't have been. Guys, this is way bigger than a cupcake. It's not like, oh shoot, I know I should be following that thing. It's like, this is your financial future. If you're not following it, you're not gonna have a financial future. It's a little bit bigger than fudging on your diet. It's a little bit bigger than snoozing past your alarm. It's not like one of those white little lie things where you're like, oh, my bad, I'll do better next time. Realize you have a target age, and every day you get closer to that target age or that target number, you have one less day to get there. So if you keep not following the blueprint, you have less and less time to actually make it happen, and eventually you'll have no time, and the cupcake thing is going to turn into you having to live on cat food in retirement because you didn't plan ahead. You won't even be able to afford the cupcake. So I hope that this makes sense, guys. If you're watching this today and it clicked for you, the blueprint thing is an idea that you kind of resounded with, and you realize, yep, I do need to have one of these in place. I need to stop operating my finances on accident, and I need to have a foundation built. What I want you to do is I'm going to make you an offer. I want you to click on the link in the comments. It's called sacredaccount.com. sacredaccount.com. Now, the Sacred account, like I mentioned, is an account that we will talk about, but part of that is we will actually build your financial blueprint for free. We'll build out your assets, your liabilities, your balance sheet, your cash flow statement, your investment projections, your action plan, all the stuff I talked about today, how to pay off your debt. Every single thing that I mentioned today, we will do for free as part of that Sacred account. And it's going to help you get a blueprint in place so you can actually get a foundation built. If you don't get a foundation built, it doesn't matter how many podcasts you listen to. It doesn't matter how many YouTube videos you watch. It doesn't matter how many Robert Kiyosaki books you read. It doesn't matter how many wholesaler conferences you went to. You will not be wealthy if you have no foundation. And if you don't believe me, look up Hulk Hogan. When you get off this video, look up Hulk Hogan. Watch what he went through last year, because he didn't have a freaking attorney in place. He didn't have a blueprint and a foundation. The guy went through an entire career as a celebrity, had $1 million to his name, had a lawsuit happen, all of it's gone. So those of you that are like, oh, I'm fine, I'm gonna have $1 million, Fidelity said so on the website, like, look at, like, in real life examples, that is not working for people. So click on the link, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Again, that is sacredaccount.com. Thank you for watching. Talk to you soon.